here we are at the Iron Crown Enterprises stand, and I am with none other than Nicholas Caldwell, director, managing director, king, ruler of Iron Crown, and Colin, the marketing dude.
Marketing dude, art director,
art director as well. Excellent. And this is loads of Iron Crown stuff, loads of new Rolemaster stuff, and that, I believe, is the new Treasure Law.
That is the new shiny in-print Treasure Law.
Okay, so this is a successor to what now?
So this one has succeeded in RMSS terms. It has succeeded Treasure Companion and parts of Arcane Companion.
Ooh, nice artwork.
In RM2, RM Classic terms, it is the successor to Alchemy Companion of old, certain bits of Rolemaster Companion 1, and certain bits of Spell Users Companion, as well as, of course, being a successor to the Treasures component of Creatures and Treasures 1, 2, and 3.
Wow. So when you say the successor to Creatures and Treasure 1, 2, and 3, are you saying the best of all of that can be found in this?
I certainly hope so.
Brilliant.
Because otherwise we're going to have to make another book.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's good. That's good. You're obviously not a great businessman to not separate them out into three. Well, but that's good for us, the consumer. That's brilliant. You put them all into one place.
Well, the point is.
That's a joke. He's a great businessman.
Well, the thing is, if you do have a volume 1 and a volume 2 and a volume 3, eventually it gets a little bit weird at the end.
Right. Yeah.
No, and so if you looked at, say, C&T 3 creatures versus C&T 1, the old favourites were in C&T 1,
right,
and it was getting more odder, more exotic creatures by C&T 3, and less likely to fit in somebody's campaign. Let's face it.
A bit like the sort of Lords of Middle-earth series, where the most well-known guys were in the first few, and by the end ones, these sort of strange bit part characters.
These were the bits that even Christopher Tolkien couldn't find a place for.
No, but brilliant as well. It's brilliant for us, the consumer, because it's all here, and not just the treasure, but you're also saying alchemy. So. Potions.
Yeah, so fundamentally, you have, if we were to open this up proper like.
Yeah.
So, whoa, that was a lot of play testers. So we were to open up on the table of contents, if we could hold the table of contents open for more than 10 minutes, you would see a goodly number of views on different types of treasure, and then of course the alchemy processes come with it.
Herbs, poisons, acids, etc. And process. So also rules for creating items. Here we got alchemy and magic item compendium. Well, that's fantastic. And so this is out in what? Hardback,
softback, PDF.
Wow.
And at some point, I assume there will be a Roll20 data set for this one too.
The Roll20 data set is coming very soon.
Data set. So Roll20 data set. Okay. So how are you guys doing with Foundry, by the way? Are you getting into that at this point?
It's coming. We've got a developer working on the core system and the spell law right now, and then he's going to tackle the treasure law and creature law when it comes.
Well, that clinches it. I mean, they support Foundry as well.
Well, brilliant. People like Foundry, people like Roll20. I don't mind. I just want them playing Rolemaster and HARP. Yeah. Let's face it.
Okay, well, I would come to HARP in a second, but before, I'm just going to ask you a few more questions about this. So, this is a successor to C&T, Creatures and Treasure, but with all the treasure and the herbs and so on. So what about the creature side of things? What's happening there?
That will become Creature Law Volume 1 and Volume 2, because this is quite thick.
Yeah.
If we were to go over here, we got a little bit carried away with bestiary, and it ended up being this thick.
Wow.
So
let me now look at the spine of that. Let's show the spine on that. that is awesome.
And this sort of taught us a lesson that actually, occasionally you do need to split the books.
Yes. So wait, so if you've already got this, why would you have another bestiary?
Okay, so this is the HARP bestiary.
Okay.
Rolemaster will be getting Creature Law in 2 volumes. But
so HARP is high fantasy, it's a different rule system.
Different rule system. But the point I'm making is, if we tried to do Creature Law as one book, it wouldn't be this thin.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Excellent. Okay. So, I mean, I've got to be honest. I never was really into HARP. I mean, that's more. How is that different to Rolemaster?
Okay, so Rolemaster is giving you the detail, lots and lots of detail. HARP is going, your eyes are bleeding from the detail.
Right.
You know, you like Rolemaster concepts, but you're one of the people who looked at Arm's Law and ran away screaming because it was just too many tables.
Yeah.
So the HARP view is, okay, let's simplify down. Let's keep concepts at D100. Let's do some things differently, like you know, the scalable spells rather than spell lists. The one role for resolution for combat. So HARP has gone a simpler way for many people. Excuse me. It makes more sense for them because it's an easier pickup game. It has, I have to be careful. It has similarities, shall we say, in terms of ease of play with a game that a previous version of Iron Crown might have licensed the setting for.
We're beginning with M. Are we talking about?
Yes.
I see. Okay,
but it is not those rules. But it is occupying the same space.
But as you were talking, I was thinking about that game, but I think that game didn't. It wasn't the best way of doing a light version because it was more just a sort of a truncated version.
Yes, it was truncated
rather than a light version from the ground up, and that seems to be what you've done with HARP.
HARP is more genuinely a rules lighter game in the same space. But there is sufficient commonality that in due course, someone beside me, when he completes some work...
Self-styled marketing troll. I didn't call him that. He called himself a marketing troll. I saw it on his website.
When Colin finishes with Cyradon, in terms of the setting for HARP, we expect to be releasing that both for HARP and Rolemaster.
Oh, interesting.
So there is sufficient commonality within the systems that it will dual stat without too much stress, and so people can choose. If they want rules light, HARP is for their friend. If they want the detail, and it's more detail, it's not necessarily that Rolemaster is a hard game. There's just more detail that you're allowed to play with. And some people like that, and that's cool. So what we want to do in the future is have all our adventures, unless there's something incredibly impossible about them, started for both. Because, you know, there are only so many people who are going to buy adventures. And, you know, this whole business thing, we actually have to make a profit. Okay.
That's fair enough.
So, well, there's two reasons we have to make a profit. One, we have to be able to pay the people who write the books. And we have to pay the people who do the art and the layout and all the rest of it. And also, unlike in the US, the UK government actually expects companies to make money.
Well, there you go. That's true.
And pay your taxes.
And we, the fans of Rolemaster, want you to be around for a long time. So that's
we have been doing this now as either Guild Companion Publications or when we became fully Iron Crown Enterprises since 2009. And before that there was my sole trader version that was just Guild Companion Publications. So we have lasted a decade and a half now. Oh my word! Shock horror, I haven't realised that we have been around now for a decade and a half.
Excellent.
So that's significant.
And let me ask you a question, because I know that one of the challenges that you obviously inherited, I think you inherited, was a sort of a split customer base as far as Rolemaster went. And when I was probably part of that split, I was on the sort of classic side until I read the core rules. And I don't know if you saw my video, but I thought you did a great job of bringing us all together, the unified version. Is that the general feedback that you're getting? Are you finding people coming over from classic? And
I think people, well, I hope people are accepting that we can only really do one. If we want new stuff, we can only do one. And so, and there's no way of sensibly doing either of the old versions. Because in one case, we can't find half the authors. And they hold the copyright to large chunks of companions. In the other case, well, they're all published. And so you already have them. You know, what would we do that would actually make it work commercially?
Well, I think you did a great job of unifying what was best about the various systems, actually.
And there's some things, you know, it also feels new in places as well. There are things that have been done differently, and there are things that went, okay, that was maybe a mistake in Classic, or that was a mistake in RMSS. Let's not repeat that. You know,
and there was something you told me, you don't remember, but I was here last year, we bumped into each other, we had a chat, and you mentioned to me that the statistics of the new version are much better worked out. They're more, you're talking a little bit about that.
Yeah. So there's been more effort in terms of, okay, so you're going to have these spells, right? What does then that map to here?
Right.
Can you actually prove that you can build the thing?
Yeah.
So every magic item in here has been built using the rules.
Right.
So they're all legal.
Yeah.
Likewise,
there's consistency. It wasn't just somebody
just make it
one
up.
night made it up.
So
after a couple of G&Ts.
So essentially, this you want to understand how to do alchemy. Well, there's X hundred examples of it done in the book.
Right. Consistently with a certain sort of design idea, rules and so on for design.
Yeah, the rules are then consistent. We are applying them ourselves. There was a lot of effort put into trying to make sure that the professions in Rolemaster were balanced in this one. So actually go, okay, how are we going to weight the various different types of categories?
Yeah.
And what does then that mean in terms of going through? What does it mean as we go above in higher levels?
Yeah.
What's it going to look like?
Yeah.
Are those numbers going to get out of hand?
Yeah.
But are we still going to reward people by actually wanting to play at 15th and 20th level? Is there something for them to do?
Can I ask you about the settings, just changing attack? Because when I was playing back in the day, we were playing the Middle-earth settings. Mm-hmm. So I was never that familiar with the actual settings that were designed for the Rolemaster system. So can you walk me through somebody who's not familiar with the system, the settings that are available? What are they and how are they different? Okay, so in terms of things that people can actually buy at the moment, we have Terry Amthor's Legacy, Shadow World. Okay. And I think we have a copy here of everything that we published with Terry while he was alive. So they're all here. So that was his high fantasy, detailed world. In some sense, Terry was pushing himself almost to be another Tolkien. Wasn't writing novels per se, but he was imagining a world that was as intricate in some ways as Middle-earth. Right. Invested in it, invested in the lands, the creatures, the peoples, even working out some of the languages for it. I love this cover and this title. I remember this from back in the day. Yeah, it's a very nice classic image from the olden days, just brought back when we refurbished this one. Yeah, and this looks like the same artist who did the original Arms Law by the looks, one of the Arms Law covers. I saw somebody on one of my channel made a comment about Rolemaster art was never good, and I was like, what are you talking about? You obviously never saw, some of these covers. Yeah, brilliant. So this is the Shadow World. So this is Shadow World, and it's all been started for RM2 Classic, and then we got other people to take Terry's stats and turn them into RMSS. It has not yet been started for the new version of Rolemaster because we need to find a willing victim or 10 in order to do some stats work for us. Okay. But now that we are this far in, we will find volunteers who are up for the challenge of going, okay, let's create how these things would actually work in Rolemaster Unified. And I think our plan is that we'll either be giving it away or we'll be packaging it up in some sort of, if you've got all of these already, just buy this one slender book if you want it printed, and then you've got all the RMU stats, and you can just run with all this legacy already. Right. You've already spent the money to buy the stuff. Let's allow you to go to Rolemaster Unified, so save you the work. Right. So there's this, and then there's another world you mentioned a little earlier. Cyradon. So Cyradon was the house setting originally for HARP. It's a lower level of magic, at least in the areas where characters would start off, where people the conceit is that you are fleeing defeat at a magic-hating empire. You fled through a magical portal. You're now in this blasted wasteland. There's this empty city, and you've got to survive.
and that's sort of the core conceit for the main Cyradon set of adventures. Of you're new here.
Yeah.
There are people who were here before you.
Yeah.
You've got to survive. You've got to get up. You've got to
a frontier.
a very frontier
concept.
vibe to it.
Yeah.
And sort of potentially lower key on the magic. But that also means that for people who wish to start out, they're not having to worry about the High Lord of
So
this.
it's adventures in a new world, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a
And
great
the
idea.
Grandmasters of this already doing everything for them, and they're just sort of, minions hiding and hoping not to be squashed by a Dark Lord.
I like that because it also allows. It's logical why, say, players might not be too familiar with the setting.
Yeah,
It allows them to learn the setting as they go.
As they go along, without having to be immersed in it from the ground up.
It's always a problem when the player's character knows a lot more about the setting than the player does.
That's why what our very first product as a company was this. A player's guide to Shadow World, to sort of give players a sense of what it was about. Because even by 2009, there was so much Shadow World lore that it was overwhelming.
I was listening to some podcasts about Shadow World, and it really does inspire a lot of affection by the people who like it. They said the same thing you said. It's a really deep level of world building.
Yeah, it's deep. And Terry fully committed to it. And so one of the reasons why we've been so cautious in moving forward with Shadow Worlds after Terry's passing is we got to do it right.
Yeah.
So I know there's a desire. When will the next Shadow World thing come out? What are we going to do? How are you going to do it? I'm not allowing anybody to push me into decision. Terry bequeathed all of Shadow World to me, and so I want to do right by him.
So he must have trusted you. I mean, you're an old Rolemaster fan yourself.
Yeah, I was on the Rolemaster mailing list in the 90s.
And it shows. It shows when I read through this. One of the comments that I made was that whoever has been overseeing this has got great respect for the material. It shows.
Yeah, I was playing it at university all my way through.
Yeah.
In the 90s when I was an undergrad, and then
kept your sanity just brilliant.
Well, yeah. Well, I was introduced to sort of MERP and Rolemaster when I was at school, and then there was a really strong gaming group in the university, and I just fell into them. Brilliant. And
somehow managed to graduate as well. Amazing.
Yeah. I didn't do as much role playing as some of the others. That was the key.
I'm very interested in also the creative side, how role-playing inspires creativity, and getting involved in creating stuff for games and so on. And I know that there are many games out there, or a fair few games out there that have licenses and programs and so on that are designed to allow people to get involved and create stuff for the system and so on and so forth. Is that an approach that you're open to? And if so, how does somebody get involved? Okay,
so we've considered the possibility of creating one of these licenses, or whether it was an equivalent of open game licensing or one of the more restricted and controlled versions. But the real problem I've found is for most creators, it's either Larry Niven or Robert Heinlein said this. Most would-be writers want to be would-be authors. The actual finishing of the document is the hard bit. So, we've got a number of manuscripts out there in the wild where people are working on them, but until I actually get a final draft, they're not really real to me.
Yeah.
And so, our view is, if somebody wants to write for Rolemaster or HARP, pitch an idea to us.
Okay.
And essentially, we'll get you a contract.
Yeah.
And we'll say, hopefully you'll be ready in this amount of time.
Yeah.
And just perhaps they'll make it. Lots of authors don't complete. Lots of writers do not actually complete. Right. Something happens in real life, they get halfway there or less, and then they sort of stop. And so that has been
So you're open to it, but you're looking for people to come to you with finished work.
No. I'm happy for people to pitch an idea like Subterfuge. HARP Subterfuge was an idea from a freelancer. Beyond the Veil, Folkways were ideas from those freelancers.
What is that? A source book?
It's basically a companion equivalent for HARP, but on the thiefly side.
Okay.
So rules and ideas about being rogues and similar. But that was an idea that a person wanted to do.
So somebody could come to you and pitch an idea for, say, an adventure.
Yeah. And we'll create the contract, and then if they can complete if they can get to a draft, then we can get them published. But the key is getting to that final draft. That is the biggest problem I find with most people who set out to write, that something happens that causes them not to finish. They started with the best of intentions, and so I've not really felt that handing out a license is going to make that any better. Whereas if you pitch to us, if you could actually finish, we will get it published.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yes, this took a number of years to get through because we we're all doing this on freelance time, etc. But we got it done.
Yeah.
So if somebody can actually get that draft complete, then we can get them the rest of the distance through.
So what about, do you have any guidance up online for people to look at, or could you produce some guidance for people who may want to contribute, as in what you want them to do, how because what's in your mind and in their mind might be very different.
Indeed. Well, one of the things we should do in the new year, now that we're so closely gone through with RMU, is actually to say, right, we now want adventures for Rolemaster, we want adventures for HARP.
Yeah.
Here's the sort of size ranges that would be cool.
Yeah.
We'd be interested in different level boundaries.
Yeah.
Ideally, we want them to be something that people could pop into any world.
Yeah.
So they're not tied too much to something. They don't have expectations of a setting that most people can't use.
Yeah.
But so we will try. And Colin will make me try and do this. Try and get that up on, say, as a director's briefing, and then a proper page on the website saying, here's what we would like.
Brilliant. Oh, that'd be fantastic. I'd be interested in doing something. And,
be careful what you volunteer for.
And of course, you mean contracts, you mean there'd be a percentage of the sales and so on. There'd be some cash moolah in it, right?
Yeah, well, yes. So for authors, we give them a choice.
Yeah.
Either you can have a royalty deal with us, in which case you get paid whenever something is bought on drive-thru, it ends up in your drive-thru account.
Yeah.
So we don't have to remember to pay you.
Yeah.
It's just done.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Brilliant.
And at some arbitrary point you decide, I want to move that money from drive-thru to my PayPal, you hit the button, it moves. It's as simple as that. It's as beautiful as that. It's as easy as that. Am I going to need to turn my phone on again?
I'm afraid so.
It's still alive.
Right, so there's the... Can you just scan that one for us?
Oh, some scanning is going on first. Okay. That's okay.
Business is booming. Brilliant. No, that's good. So, so what about the artwork of a piece that goes along with the? Would you take care of that, or and if?
So, sometimes authors want to suggest things that they want in their piece. Sometimes, if it's an adventure, they will have sketched out what the maps are meant to look like. Okay.
Business is happening. Let them do some business.
Okay.
Yeah, you were saying, so authors, we're carrying on talking about authors, they can also get a flat fee.
So an author can choose to do a royalty.
Yeah.
If they do a royalty deal, there is a clause in it that allows us potentially to buy out the author at some point. The reason for this is we never wish to put this company in the same place that older versions of Iron Crown have been in, of not being able to find an offer. So if somebody made us an offer we couldn't refuse, we will pay you £1 billion for Iron Crown, we might have to sell. But in which case we'd actually need to make sure that the copyrights were in a place that whoever bought us out could actually use, because that wouldn't be fair otherwise. It also wouldn't be fair to the authors. So so the deal for authors is either it's royalty with the possibility that at some future point I might have to buy them out, but I've never exercised that right. And as long as we're running the company, we never plan to. or a flat fee. So some people might actually just like to have a certain number of cents, US cents per word, and that's cool.
Just on the, out of curiosity, put the buying out, do you have a predetermined price, or is that open to negotiation?
It's worked into the contract in terms of the number of sales that the book has made over a certain period.
Okay. I see. So it's calculated based upon, you determine the valuation based upon sales and so on. So that makes, so it's reasonable. Makes sense.
So it's clear in the contract that but we've never used it. We are never expecting to use it unless somebody turns up with £1 billion, in which case we might have to rethink.
So in the new year, some guidance is going to come out, and you are going to be interested in adventures, and you're looking for stuff that could be dropped into different settings, not too specific. That sounds very exciting. And what happens if you have a writer who can also do the artwork?
So in HARP SF Extreme, some of the artwork, the vehicles were actually done by Joel Lovell, who's currently writing for us at the same time.
Right.
So if somebody is able to do both, cool, fantastic. We'll give them a contract for the artwork as well.
Brilliant.
The artwork we pay a flat fee per piece, because that's the thing that makes sense, and we buy a certain level of rights to use the artwork so that we can use it on our books and in virtual tabletops, etc. But if the artwork is brilliant, we don't stop the author, or the artist rather, from creating a copybook. If they want, if they are fantastic and then they want to have a gallery book, I'm not going to stop them doing that if they want to do that. So they get those rights back in the contract.
Okay, so last question on this, before I think of another question, of course, is how does somebody reach you if they're interested in getting involved?
Okay, so people either will typically email me, or they'll email Colin or catch Colin on Discord. Colin is more present than I am at the moment, because the nature of my real world work is I sometimes have to disappear. That doesn't mean to say I'm not doing things.
You work for the CIA, I believe, or
no.
the MI5, sorry.
No, I work for a university.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I am sufficiently up the ranks now that I can get busy at
at
times.
least that's your cover story.
That's not my cover story. But I am reachable by email. Colin exists on many more places. He exists on Discord, etc. He exists on our forums. So he is another person to grab, and he has the ability to nag me.
Brilliant.
He's allowed to nag me a lot.
Okay, so what's next then on the publishing agenda? The Creatures book for Rolemaster?
Okay, so for Rolemaster Unified, it will be Creature Law Volume 1.
Yep.
Or just possibly Character Companion.
Which character?
Character Companion. So Jonathan Dale has already written the first companion for RMU.
Okay, brilliant.
And I've done an editing pass on it. He can make the changes in an afternoon.
Excellent. So what's going to be in the companion? More character classes?
It involves more talents. It involves skills, giving expanded ways and you can use the skills, not necessarily more skills, but different ways of
more rules around how to actually use them.
New professions, so there's some new armed professions in there, and it basically allows you to make your characters more fleshed out.
So this is a continuation of the Rolemaster tradition of companions then?
Yes, but controlled. Balanced. so the lesson we learned from RMSS of controlling the balance, of not letting any of them get too high powered or too under powered.
This is very important, because I remember companions started to appear, essentially selling on the ability to make your character high powered. That's at least how it felt anyway. So Jonathan, you want to control that. You're not going to allow a power creep. That's important.
Jonathan has that under control, and he then answers to me, because of course, as he is line editor for Rolemaster, I edit him.
That's great, because the old companions, they were a nightmare for GMs. I had to outlaw so many. No, that's not allowed. And, I mean, the arcane magic
rule
was
breaks this
completely
one. It breaks this one breaks that one. If I allow that, I've got an archman. No, none of that. Okay. That's not happening, okay?
Brilliant. Well, I think I've taken up a lot of your time. Thank you very much, Nicholas and Colin, silent one back there. Really appreciate your time. Very exciting stuff. And I hope you enjoyed that. All the best.
Thank you.